Hi, everybody. It is Dustin back here with Dustin's Dollars, and today I'm going to talk about some potential upcoming catalysts for Nightcoming stock and for Knightscope, the company, that will impact the stock, hopefully. And then I'm also going to briefly discuss today's partnership announcement with Allied Universal. Before I get into things, let me remind you that I am not a financial advisor or a financial professional of any sort. All opinions I express in this video are mine and do not represent those of any company or any other individual. I do own a long position in Knightscope, so take that into account. And so basically this video should be for your entertainment only because I could be wrong about everything that I say in this video. You need to do your own research before making any investment decisions. All right. That being said, let's get into it today. And first, we'll go through real quick this announcement today with Allied Universal. Yeah, so Allied Universal is a very large, in fact, I think they say something around the largest, maybe a leading global security and facility services company. It's a $20 billion company. Sorry, revenue is at $20 billion, more than 800,000 employees worldwide. And so this is a new channel for Knightscope to sell the robots through, is the way I'm reading this. And, that is obviously great. The more we can sell the robots, more Knightscope can get them out in the market, I think, the better. I think it does, there was a prior announcement years ago with Securitas. This I dug it up. This is, I think, from 2017, February 2017. So 5 years ago, roughly, was a similar announcement with Securitas. So, this says the world's second largest private security company. I don't know, maybe Allied Universal is the largest. I didn't check here. It's not super material, right? They're both orders of magnitude larger than Knightscope at the moment, and so they represent significant, an additional larger channel that they could sell through much higher volume potentially. But I bring this one up to make the point that the first announcement that we saw of an actual sale through this Securitas partnership was the announcement about a month ago, maybe less than a month ago, right around the IPO date, right? I think that was actually on the second day of trading when Knightscope stock just rocketed up. And yeah, because we saw some of the articles are like, hey, it just took a sale announcement from Securitas, and then the stock rockets up 175%. And obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, who knows? But I think that narrative was trying to overfit on the facts as they exist, rather than really looking at it and saying, hey, this was a new IPO with low float, meaning not that many shares outstanding and just an imbalance of supply and demand, temporarily in terms of Knightscope shares. So I am tempered in my expectations of what this means, since we haven't, there has already been a partnership with Securitas for years, and we certainly haven't seen gobs and gobs of robots being sold through that. I'm also a little bit, I wouldn't say worried, just I do wonder what is in it for Allied Universal here. What kind of, are they getting a share of the revenue? Are they getting a fixed fee per robot, per sale? And we don't know. I actually emailed the company about this, sent it into to the investor contact, investor relations, and they didn't give me any in particular details here. They said that they're trying a couple of different things, but that was it, right? They were pretty vague in the answer, which is fair. I'm sure that they're still figuring this out, and so I think that's something at least just to keep in mind, right? Because as we've seen before, as of right now, they're reporting a gross loss with the robots. And so, if they're also having to pay out finder's fees or a percentage of revenue to Securitas or to Allied Universal, that's a potential concern for me, right? Because they're lowering their profitability when they're already under pressure to become profitable. So, we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. When again, I think it's interesting in terms of whether it will actually bring volume to the company and how profitable that will be. Um, but I do think, and as I've mentioned before, every robot that's deployed in a public location sort of is free advertising for the company. So at least for some period of time while the company's trying to grow, there's probably I couldn't say how tangible, but there's probably a benefit from that, even if the robot ended up being kind of a net neutral in terms of profit, in terms of cash for the time being. So what do the market think, right? So the stock was up 33% today, and that's pretty interesting. I'm certainly not going to say that it was all just due to this announcement. I think, the stock's been bouncing around um, pretty wildly. I think, the y-axis here going up to 26 just makes things hard to really see any resolution on these movements here. But, the stock's been up to 9, down to 7. It's had some spikes up, but apparently people liked it today. And for good reason, right? I think it's a good announcement. It does sort of get the mind thinking of how they could start capturing some of that huge total addressable market. So anyways, that's my initial thoughts on that. And so now on to the meat of today's chat, and that is about just possible catalysts that we could see with the company that might affect the stock. And a couple of the big ones up front that I think we would see, that I think are likely and that could have a material impact. One of the biggest ones, one of the biggest ones, I think, is this FedRAMP certification, right? And if you see where I'm at, I have the most recent meaty filing that we've gotten when they were raising funds, the offering circular here, from, I pulled this up multiple times. I think it's from January of this year. But there's this really nice section here where they go over what some of the targets are for management in order to get their cash bonuses. And I don't usually see this in a lot of filing, so it was real nice to see here in Knightscope's filing. And if you can see here near the bottom, I highlighted it with the search for their general counsel, Mr. Weinberg. He's the one who apparently is most responsible for this, but getting FedRAMP certification is going to be huge for Knightscope, namely because, if I understand correctly, they already have a sale contract for a Veterans Affairs hospital, if I recall correctly, and but they can't actually, if I understand correctly, they can't actually deploy the robot there because they are not FedRAMP certified. So once they get FedRAMP certified, hopefully very soon